name of Nathaniel Pryor, and he told him to take these horses back to the Mandan villages. We'll meet you there. I don't want to fool with these horses anymore. They're kind of a pain, but I want them. So you go ahead and take 3 other men and you take these horses back to the Mandan villages. Well, the expedition continues from Park City. They come to Pompey's tower and all that kind of business we told you about. Well, I did a little research, and I don't remember if I told this to you or the other class yesterday, but I did some research on how that name got switched from Pompey's Tower to Pompey's Pillar. What happened is when Clark was serving as governor of Missouri, remember I told you he sent the journals in to have them published? Well, you put them in manuscript form first, and then you have them published into books or volumes. Well, the man that he hired to do this work for him was an editor by the name of Nicholas Biddle. And as Nicholas Biddle was reading through these journals in 1814, preparing for the manuscripts, he saw that Clark named this remarkable rock Pompey's Tower. Well, he didn't know who Pompey was. He assumed that Clark named it after the great Roman general Pompey. So he thought, well, gee, tower doesn't sound very, Roman. So it was Biddle that changed the name from Pompey's Tower to Pompey's Pillar, because he thought pillar more expressed a Roman general than a tower. And that's where it got changed, and he added an E to it. Why? Because that's how you spelt the Roman general's name, Pompey, E-Y, and that's where that story came from. I thought that was kind of interesting. Well, anyway, I'll continue by telling you, I didn't say much what they did after they left Pompey's Tower. They camped near present-day Glendive, Montana, and Clark recorded in his journals the sighting of the largest grizzly bear he had ever seen in his life. And he said it was eating a buffalo. And he also reported that as they were floating down the Yellowstone, that thousands and thousands of buffalo were crossing the river ahead of them as thick as they could swim. He recorded that he thought the buffalo herd was about 1/4 mile wide, and it took him, according to his estimations, 1 hour and 15 minutes to cross. They waited 1 hour and 15 minutes for those buffalo to get across the river. That's how many. Can you imagine if you've never seen a buffalo before and it showed at the movie early when they came over that ridge and saw those buffalo? Wouldn't that just be quite a sight if you'd never seen anything like that before? Well, anyway, Clark gets to the mouth of the Yellowstone. He hasn't quite found Lewis yet, but you know who he found? Sergeant Pryor. And he asked Sergeant Pryor, where are all those horses? Well, about less than a day after he sent him on his way, he lost the rest of the horses to those Indians. And so they didn't have any canoes, they didn't have time to cut down any trees or have the equipment to make canoes, so they took elk hides and made makeshift canoes out of those and floated down the river on elk and buffalo hides. Can you imagine that? I don't know how they put them together exactly. They must have stringed them up to something, and they floated down the river in buffalo and elk hides, makeshift boats. Anyway, they met Lewis, and he was recovering from the gunshot wound, etc., etc. You know the rest of the story, but I just want to give you a little more info. Okay, that'll be the test. We will meet tomorrow down in the Commons, and the test will be 135 points, 25 matching, the rest of those short answers. Make sure you spend a little time studying tonight. And if you're friends with Bailey or Adriana or Aisha, Aisha didn't get it all figured out, but you might let them know that there is a test tomorrow, and the review will be posted online shortly. So you can use the rest of the period to get your study sheet set up.